Okay, this week, continuing with kind of like the recovery theme, and I'm going to kind of do like a comparison of like communities. So the concept again, it's the kind of the concept of like you are the average of like the five people you surround yourself with. So like for instance, like if you were like me and getting out to like getting drunk all the time, chances are you're going to the bars and hanging out with other drunks and everything. So you're kind of like again the analogy of like you are the average of the five people that you surround yourself with. So like in my case, when I was drinking, when I was going out to the bars, on those occasions I did instead of drinking at home, I was pretty much the average of the five people around me because like pretty much like the average was pretty much the same kind of deal, drinking and getting drunk and same kind of concept and everything. So the concept of that is like you kind of so you want to kind of in a sense switch that up and everything and start like surrounding yourself with better people and everything. So like for instance, instead of going to the bar or hey, you're surrounding yourself with drunks, like even now, if I were to start going to the bars, oh well, this bar has nice chicken wings and nice burgers, so I'm going to go in there. Well, chances are eventually I'm going to like start drinking again because like I'm surrounding myself with a bunch of people that are drinking. So that's kind of a losing situation for me. So I made a video years ago about like the Phoenix program, which is kind of like based on like fitness, and so I've done a lot of videos on fitness and everything because for me that was the catalyst to pretty much getting sober and everything. So now, like, of course, I got in my head that I had to join AA and I had to do all the bullshit that's that in there. Now, I'm one of those people that like if I had known about like things like smart recovery or like the Phoenix program, which is like uh, based on fitness and everything, I would have never joined AA in the first place. And like I could quite possibly make the guarantee that like my progress in getting on with my life and getting like better and figuring things out would have been a lot faster. And I would have been able to figure things out and get on like an even kill a lot faster. So I probably would have been able to move on maybe like 6 months when I first started seeing like when I was still in AA and I realized this is nothing but fucking bullshit and everything. There's nothing like here making progress in your life and everything. Instead of sitting around for like an extra 2 years, because now a lot of times they drill in your head that like the only other alternatives are jails, institutions, and death. Not so much in my area, but what they did drill into you is like, hey, look, if you leave, you're going to drink again. So like, pretty much in a sense, still kind of hammering away that point. This is your only option because like you're going to be drinking again if you don't do this and you don't stay and everything. So like, and again, I've made a bunch of videos on stuff like number of videos on smart recovery, and I've done like ones like comparison of a smart recovery meeting versus an AA meeting. So with the community, so if you're getting surrounding yourself again with like a community of people that are drilling into your head, look, this is the only option, and like if you don't do this, you're going to drink again. Chances are you're like going to continue thinking yourself like a completely worthless if like you sit there, especially if you like as they said, oh, you fucked up and you relapsed and everything. So like, instead of having like, oh, hey, look, I slipped. Let me take a look at the underlying issues of why I slipped. Maybe 6, 7 months in. Oh, okay. So I looked at like a situation I put myself into like maybe I passed by like an old bar, and I still had that habit of going in. Whereas maybe I would need like 8 or 9 months to be able to not have that habit anymore. So basically, like when if you do relapse and everything, the whole mindset of like AA is like, hey, look, we told you you're totally worthless. You fucked up and everything. It's all your fault. Whereas programs like the Phoenix, when you Phoenix program, and of course I will provide the link in the description and everything, and it's a .org website, so you know it's good and everything. So with the Phoenix program, you are surrounding yourself with people that are getting into fitness, which is the whole concept of fitness is to pretty much better yourself, at least physically. And now it has that indirect like connection to your mental health, and that especially for me, of constantly going to the gym for and then I started getting my mind clear after like a good 3 months, and now of course people could argue that as I'm kind of distancing myself, I was going to get more of that clear head and kind of get out of that alcohol induced brain fog or whatever. But I I feel like at least for me that the physical fitness kind of jump started that. So now that's what the Phoenix program is about: is surrounding yourself with people that are into fitness and that are going to lift yourself, you and each other up and everything. So you just said for instance, like you go into and set a PR for like your squat or your deadlift, or you are into cycling, and you just after 3 months of training, you are going not necessarily the Tour de France or whatever, but you get into your local cycling competitions and you win. That's a big accomplishment. Now with the programs like the Phoenix program, the people that you would surround yourself with in that program, they would actually be like, "Hey, look, you just won your first cycling competition. That's awesome. That's great." And "Hey, now that you won that," and they would sit there and push you to let's beat that your time. Oh, you did a 20-mile bike race in like uh 1 hour. I'm just throwing numbers out there. Oh, let's see if you can do it in 50 minutes next time. So now I obviously don't know much about cycling, so I don't really know the times. People can correct me on that are into cycling, but that's the concept of the Phoenix program. You win a competition, people are pushing you hey, look, let's do it. Let's do better. Pushing you to break your personal record and break that time that you won the competition in. At least the people in there, they're oh, you're just feeding your ego, and you're just doing that for selfish reasons. They're trying to knock you down a peg and basically remind you that hey, look, you're totally fucking worthless. So the concept of the community is are you going to surround yourself with people that are going to sit there and lift you up and be like, "Hey, look, you just won. That's awesome. Let's keep at it." And you can turn around and you just won your first cycling competition. For the example that I'm using, maybe your friend is into lifting and he just set a PR for a squats and he just did 400 pounds. You'll turn around and be like, "Oh, hey, look, let's push for 500 pounds and everything. See if you can beat that, or see if you can push up that and everything." Kind of feed off each other to kind of build each other up. And what it's going to happen is it's going to start bleeding over into other aspects of your life because, well, if I in the question of if I just was able to achieve this in fitness and everything, what else can I accomplish? What can I accomplish with my finances? Okay, well, let's see if I can start up in my 401k. Maybe I'm saving 5%, and the company matches that. Okay, well, let's see. I can afford to bump it up to 6%, 6%, and maybe they have a 2-for-1 match. So instead of doing they match 2.5%, I upped it to 6%. They match for 3%. Now I can start setting a long term goal to at that just that 1%, and then my employer matching that 0.5%. I now start getting those financial goals for retirement and everything. Okay, so I can achieve that and everything. Okay, so let me look at my relationships. How can I start improving my relationships? I start listening to podcasts and maybe getting into psychology and stuff like that, so I can sit there and learn how to improve my relationships. Then all of a sudden I start making not just more friends but better friends that kind of the quality over quantity concept and everything. And then I bring in more people, and again, we're building each other up and everything instead of tearing each other down. Like the AA example where oh, like I said, oh, you're just doing that cycling for your ego, and you're just on a pink cloud because you just won and everything. It's going to pass and you're going to be downright miserable. So again, are you going to surround yourself using this Phoenix program, for example, that's based on fitness, to kind of build yourself up and start building the people around your community around you, and they're going to do the same for you? Or are you going to go to an organization like AA where you're going to find people that are pretty much nothing but miserable sacks of shit that they're going to tear you down, to constantly remind you, hey, look, you're totally worthless and you're like totally hopeless with this, and there's no way out of this like dilemma other than to continue to go to meetings and never do anything with your life. So it's like a kind of like analogy of, are you going to go on to like bigger and better things and seeing what you can achieve in life by getting into something like the Phoenix program, or are you just going to sit there and like be like another fellow miserable sack of shit like everyone else around you in AA and not amounting to anything? Now, of course, you might end up getting like a job where you're completely happy in, and like it may say you only pay like $25 an hour, and like, okay, well, this is an economic job, like, kind of like a scale I'm fine with, because like, hey, look, I love what I'm doing. Yes, I'm not making like the most money or anything, but like I'm happy where I'm. So you get up to the point where like you're not necessarily progressing, making like now $30 or 35, and you're just up and constantly. You're getting to the point where like you're happy, and instead of being miserable and everything. So that's the kind of like the concept I'm using, like to try and like use an analogy of like a shitty ass community that's going to like with AA that's constantly going to tear you down and treat you as like a piece of shit and tell you you're completely worthless, or using like something like the Phoenix program where you're going to have people that are going to sit there and lift you up and like, hey, you just accomplished an amazing feat winning your first cycling competition, like the example that I've been using. And so now you got to ask yourself, which is going to be more beneficial for you, surrounding yourself with people that are going to make you feel terrible, or are you going to surround yourself with people that are going to make you feel good and everything? That's the whole concept of like getting yourself and surrounding yourself with that right community, and that's why you want to go with something like the Phoenix program over something like the AA program.